Welcome to You're In Detention, Sam. We're delighted to have
Mm.
you here today. Um, but before we start anything and do any kind of introductions, obviously we have to ask you the burning question is, were you ever in detention at school?
I wasn't. I was trying to have a think. I wasn't. There was a time that I nearly did with a group of girls because we got involved with something, but
Yeah.
actually no. But I think my school was quite lenient, or I was just
Okay.
very good, or yeah, I was too scared of my mum, to be fair,
Yes,
for
that's
her
a
wrath.
fair.
So yeah, no, I wasn't. I've never been in detention.
I bet Tom was in detention.
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
At one point, he was asked not to come back.
If he does come in and actually, well, you've asked him not to, we'll obviously that's what he can be pay.
Absolutely.
He can pay with telling us his detention story. So we'll see whether he appears or not and follows
Yeah,
your
there's a
Sam.
few. There's a
Yeah,
few.
excellent, excellent. We started to trail out where that comes from. Brilliant, brilliant. Well, it's lovely to for you to join us today, Sam. We are delighted that you've spent the time with us in detention. So this is your first detention.
Yes,
What a great detention it is as well.
excited.
But yes, thank you. And I know that you come on here to talk about all sorts of things, but amongst other things, parenting, um,
Yes.
parenting twins of all things. Twin.
Yes.
Take my hat off to you there, Sam.
Yeah, twin boys, twin
Twin
boys.
boys. Excellent. Well done for being in such a calm environment. I'm like, I get I, there's points for that
In
already.
school.
Yeah.
7 o'clock in the
No-
morning, not like this.
Yeah.
Well, I can imagine twin boys at this time of the year as well
Oh,
is
they're
a
so
handful.
excited. So I was up at 4:30 of them yesterday because they were too excited about the elves and what the elves were doing. And
Oh,
Grayson come in at 5:30 this morning, so at least an hour later, 5:30 I can deal with. Mummy, can I go see where the elves are? No. They're gonna go down the toilet. We're gonna flush them down the toilet at some point. Um, so yeah, they're just very excited about all the stuff that they're doing, and yes, the elves are. They've got to know, and they've got to be the first to know. So they're trying to like who's getting up first to go and see
oh
what they're
yeah.
doing.
Do you know what? I'm so glad I had my kids in my 20s because basically we managed to escape the elves because they were too old by the time the elves came out, which is fantastic.
Yes, this year that they're really like excited about. Before they weren't, but now they get to go to school and they get to talk about what they've done, and yeah. But I can
Not
see a naughty warning coming up with a little elf stick saying, "Warning, behave yourself."
morning. Yeah. You wake up at 4:30 again, we won't be here the next day. We don't do mornings.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of pressure, so that sounds like fun.
Yes,
Living the parent dream.
yes, it's fun.
Oh, and I think it was lovely that we got to see you in person last week, Sam, several times.
Yeah, it was so nice, so
Oh,
nice. It was, yeah, just nice. I found the school really interesting, and I'll talk about this a bit later, but I have got some, like, things that I've starting to bed in a bit now with Grayson that I learnt there, and I thought, well, actually, that's quite useful to go through from other parents if they're potentially struggling with an ADHD or neurodivergent child.
it was
Well done.
really interesting what we learned at the school, isn't it? And they're talking about the children and the challenges that they have and the lack of support available and stuff for parents. And yeah, it's just like, it's such a shame, isn't it? Because really neurodivergent children just want the right environment and then they're kind of off they go, you know. School
And
doesn't
that's
give
it,
that.
it's about being understood.
Mm.
Um, do you want me to go into, like, Grayson now and that stuff? Like a bit of an
Whatever
intro
you
first?
like, I mean, it's really good for other parents that might be in the same situation as you to hear what you're going through, and particularly like if you look in the like press and you've got people kind of talking about ADHD and the fact that oh, well, it's the diet of kids, it's this about kids, it's the way you bring them up, it's parenting and that. But you've got twins and you've got twin boys. So this is fantastic for you to be able to talk about this nature versus nurture and things like that. And, bust some myths, because this is a perfect example of it isn't diet, it isn't that. It can contribute, but it isn't that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my boys are 7 in February, and they've always, I'm sure like all siblings, I'm sure like all twins, it's the one will start doing it and then the other start doing it. Grayson was actually walking at like 9 months. He was so eager to go, like he was gone. I think Woody wasn't till after he was a year. Um, and it was probably when I started to notice that Grayson is a little bit different when he was maybe 2, 3, it was the sensory. And now I know, we go to them sensory classes. Joe, I don't know if they obviously you've done them with your children, but they are disgusting. It is
Yeah.
the spaghetti and glitter. It's all the sand with the cereal, the mushy stuff.
No.
And although all children love that and I appreciate it and they're learning and they're exploring, I couldn't get Grayson away. He just, and from then I think it's like that's what he craves constantly. It's just filling them senses, and you can get kinetic sand, which you pull it, but it comes back together. Oh, he loves
Oh,
that. Loves
yeah.
yeah, loves that. So we've now banned
Remember
that.
that magic sand? And it was like, "Kids, can we play the magic sand?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, not really."
Yeah, it's everywhere. I think I've got so many cars that they've been, like, stuck into, then you get the car out
Yeah.
and it goes everywhere. So, yeah, so it's about 2, 3 when I started Grayson just being a little bit different with things. So sensory is obviously a great one. Food, Grace Woody is all for broccoli's his favourite food. He loves salmon, he loves steak, he likes the finer things in life. Grayson is beige, so he will only eat anything if it doesn't have a colour. And that includes chocolate, fine with pasta, biscuits, the usual. He's okay with like a hamburger. Um, but that's probably as far as he goes. Anything with green, even pasta, if it's got like red sauce with a bit of basil, although he loves pesto, he can't put the two together that the basil in the red sauce and the pesto are actually the same thing. Um, yeah, so this is where I'm starting to really notice the differences, and I appreciate that all kids are like that, but it's when they're getting so different and routines. When we're starting to put routines in because they've started nursery, preschool, obviously then on to actual school. Woody could cope with this is what I need to do. I need to do this step, that step, this step, that step. Fine, gets his reward on the chart. Grayson bored, bored brushing his teeth, bored
Mhm.
in sticks. It's boring, and it is
Yeah.
right. It's boring. You've got to stand there for 2 minutes and do something that's really boring every day, twice a day. We argue that daily. Thea's got to do it twice a day. Whereas Woody knows he gets that and gets the reward chart. So again, it's just the differences. What else Grayson done that's just like water in the garden? He's constantly like at the hose pipe playing with the water, making the mud for the sensories. Whereas Grayson Woody's probably bounced on the trampoline. So again, really that nature over nurture, that's when I started to notice it when he's like a little bit different. Facts. So like if he's interested in something, he will just absorb them facts and will repeat them. When I have a conversation with you, we'll just talk at you and have them conversations. So when he started school, and it was last year when he was in year 1, the teacher approached me at parents' evening and said, think it's time to go down the getting Grayson tested for ASD or ADHD.
Hmm. Was that a surprise to you?
It wasn't a surprise, it was more, okay, so my thoughts and my feelings
Mm.
is true. And yeah. We
Well,
then
for
went down the routine of each kind of area has what they are, like a trust that will look after the diagnosis. Ours is called Snapdragons in Medway, if anyone's Medway area, and I knew the wait list was long. So it took me about 9 months for the referral to go in to then be told he's on a list.
Mm.
Okay. To then be told, right, I need you to do some surveys and fill out lots of forms, and the teacher does the same, fill out lots of forms. And then to be told that the initial assessments, and probably a year later, is that he is likely ASD or ADHD, but to let you know that the wait list for diagnosis is 4 years.
Wow.
Yes. So then I heard about Right to Choose, and I think it's really important that people know about this because they don't really advertise it. You can find out about it on websites and stuff like that. Other mums around the school had mentioned it to me. And it is, you can basically get diagnosis privately, but we all know the wait list is what, 4 to 5 years. Even
Oh,
because of that now, the private wait list has gone up so long.
wow.
You can go down that route to try and get a diagnosis. So I started that in September. And again, more forms. So me filling out forms, GP has to recommend it. And what I did is I found the provider that I wanted to use is actually Canterbury based. So again, down the road from me. They then send something to fill out for the GP to then confirm, because for me, my GP won't go, yep, you need to be referred. So it's all this stuff you're trying to find out yourself, and there's no guide. It's just, oh, I spoke to that person, they've done that. The receptionist is saying that, but then that receptionist is saying that. They could do like a handbook on each area and how it works. So filled out forms, chase the school. They need to do like 3 or 4 and some observations. And obviously you do have the SEN person at school. Ours are very good, and I'll come on to that and what they're helping Grayson with. But we are now in a wait again. So I should hear within the next 6 months if he is ASD or ADHD. And there's
Mm.
likely to be some more tests along the way.
Do you know what, Pam, though? You've just described the actual process that you go through, either as a parent or as an adult being diagnosed for ADHD is so painful. Like, not painful as in painful, but painful
Yes.
as in administrative heavy. So a lot of parents of children with ADHD are being late diagnosed in life because they're actually getting all these forms and they're like, oh God, God, like I literally, it's so overwhelming, the process and the forms and everything. To go private, I still had to fill in a load of forms, and not only did I have to fill in a load of forms, I had to then get other people that were close to me to fill in those forms, all with their own views about whether or not I should or shouldn't be going through this process. And actually, it's just horrible. I hated it.
And it's that as well, it's the views. I think you're right.
Mhm.
And it's fine with the educational setting, right? It's and you're trying to fact find, so you're trying to speak to people about it because you don't know where to go. And you go on the websites and to try and find things, and then you don't know what's legit. You don't know what's NHS and government led. You don't know if it's in the UK or if in Dubai. It gets so confusing on where to go for help. So then you do start asking around your friends and your family, and then with that, you do get the question and the views.
Yeah.
And I think that for me was quite shocking.
Mm.
Is so why do you think this?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've been with him for 6 years. I've seen him grow. He is my son, and this is what I've noticed. Again, nature over nurture. They've been brought up exactly the same. The routine has been exactly the same for them. I don't treat one any different. They're exactly the same. They're twins. They're nature over nurture. I can see it. If the teacher can see it, and she's got 30 kids, but got years of experience,
Yeah.
you kind of go off that with somebody that doesn't believe that ADHD or neurodivergent is a thing.
Yeah.
And that
100%. You know what, Sam? If from someone that wasn't diagnosed till I was 47, the biggest and greatest gift you can give to your children is to allow them to be understood and allow them to understand themselves, because it makes everything just so much easier for them.
and that's it. I just want to give him the best chance.
Mm.
I know that he only makes friends through Woody. So Woody is the sociable one, the cheeky chappy that will go out and meet loads of friends and can get a little bit bossy because that's his type. But and then off the back of that, Grayson makes the friends. So when we sit down and go, right, who are you going to invite to your party? They have a joint party, obviously, because they're the same year and same date, obviously. Woody's got a list of people that he wants to invite. Grayson's got one.
Yeah.
And it's trying to help him understand himself, which I think why Messy Minds is just absolutely brilliant, so that he can understand himself, so then he can navigate life knowing it.
Yeah, and it's okay to have, like, I only have close friends. I don't have a volume of friends because I can't keep up with it. I can't deal with the group chat, the messages, the
Yeah.
social engagements. I want all that. I just have a few very, very close friends that I know are my friends and that have been through thick and thin with me throughout my life. But that's like but that works for me. Some people want loads and loads of friends, a volume of friends, very busy social life and that, but for me, that doesn't work, and actually, Grayson understands that that's absolutely okay, and he's got a small, close circle of friends. It's not so overwhelming, and it's not so demanding on you either.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's then the RSD that plays into it as well. I can see that in him already.
Yeah.
Um, so with that, an example of his one friend that he has also been diagnosed with ADHD, so they stick together because they're very similar,
They'll
very
gravitate to
lovely.
each other, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really lovely, and they do, like, really stick with each other. But they fell out the other day. They're kids. Something, don't know what happened, but didn't get to the bottom of it. And then that's it. No one likes him. It's the rejection, it's the hurt, like, no one likes him, no one wants to be his friend. So then
Mhm.
he won't approach other people to talk to him because of fear of rejection.
Yeah.
Same with clubs. So at the moment, they go to a club every day after school, keep them busy. Just trying to find out their interests. I think it's really important at this age. You try and work out what's right for them, what do they want to do. I've got them in drama club. Grayson doesn't particularly like it, but he does enjoy it. Whereas love went to a show last night, but he was very excited about it. But he doesn't want to go, Grayson. So he'll think about it or overthink about it. Don't want to go to that club. With that fear of not doing well as others, I think. It's the anxiety that comes with it,
Yeah.
and when he's there, he comes out and he loves it. So, and again, being a parent is really pushing them to go, "Okay, yeah, don't worry about it. You don't wanna do it." Obviously, making sure that they do enjoy it when they come out, because I don't
Yeah.
want him to come out and go, "No, I absolutely hate it," and it's like, "Okay, we won't go."
Yeah.
But I do feel like now I've recognised that in him, he'll do it for every club. I think there's one that he doesn't do, that's science club. Because again, he's really interested in it.
It's 'cause he's making it, isn't he? Like, it's like if you have a social engagement or a night out, you kind of
Absolutely.
dread going and you're like, "Oh gosh, got that, I've got that. I'm in a different mood now than when I arranged it." And then
Yeah,
actually when you get there, you have a great time and everything, but it's just the I don't know, it's just the mental kind of drain that it has on you from thinking what's gonna happen and, who's gonna be there and will it be good and will I be any good and will I be too much and all that and
yeah,
you overthink everything. So it's just like the hyperactivity in your brain is constantly going. So it's almost become hyper vigilant. So you're thinking about scenarios that are never happening, but it's just the constant narrative in your brain that's like, putting that fear into your head of going and doing something. Then the
absolutely.
rejection
Yeah.
follows that, and actually very often the rejection doesn't come, but it's still there playing into your mind, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I've really noticed that, but I think more this year. I think because 'cause we've got them in so many clubs to try and work it out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what they all like. But yeah, I've really noticed it this year. Um,
Mm.
Another thing that Grayson does, and he done it this morning, I went, "Oh, I've got to talk about this today," 'cause it cracked me up. Um, so I was doing drying my hair, and I had my radio on my phone, just Radio 1, the open listen. And he come in and he went, what you got on?" And I went, "Oh, no, it's on my phone." I said, "I'm just listening to the radio." And he went, "All right." And he sat on our bed, and he went, "Did you know that the Beaver leaders used to be called Sesame Street names?" Literally, within 2 seconds, I was just like, Yeah, that's just so Grayson. So Grayson. He's either come up here to tell me about that, got distracted by the radio, or something's triggered something completely different, and it really made me I was like, "I've got to mention that today because it really made me laugh."
'Cause it has to, like, come out, doesn't it? Like, it's a
Yeah,
random fact of the day.
it just
It's
yeah, it's obviously popped into his head and he has to share it.
gotta come out, hasn't it? Otherwise he'll forget about it and he's
Yeah,
like, he needs to
absolutely,
tell you.
absolutely.
It's
That is
funny,
an
we
excellent fact of the day. I do love that.
yeah, I
Yeah,
like that
it's
fact
yeah,
today. We
yeah,
were, watching TV last night and, in the middle of something, a program, I'll be like, said some random, like, completely random fact, and Johnny was like, "Yeah, cheers for that, Joe. I'll just press play on the telly now." Like, it was just, it had to come out. It couldn't have waited till the end of the program or anything. It was just like, it's in my head, it's coming out. It's
yeah,
coming out. So press pause. Press pause, it's coming. Just
brilliant.
literally,
Yeah. Yeah,
nothing's gonna stop.
we have that a lot. We have it when he is so into Titanic. Like, I don't think there's any kid in the world that knows as much about Titanic as Grayson.
Really?
And boats and ships. So we've got a
Yeah.
local dockyard, so we go to there quite often. Portsmouth is probably one of his most favourite places in the world because he likes learning about ships and wars. So we've now progressed a little bit into a bit like World War Two, World War One. Is learning all that now. So yeah, we'll just get random facts talked at us. Did you know?
Brilliant.
I have a fact.
Yeah. It's that, like, interest-based, like, learning system, isn't it, though? If you kind of, if you're around something and you go and you physically see it and you can put your hands on it and you can learn that way, then you're taking all the facts. But if you're sat in a classroom and you're just in an environment where it's 4 walls and you've got to listen for, like, 6 hours a day at school, then none of it goes in. It's
Absolutely.
really
And some of the things that the school are doing really well, so I will shout them out what they're really helping him with. As a parents even it's like, "Oh, you kinda dread it. Where's this gonna go?" Is it he's behind on everything? Because he's smart, he knows it. We sit down to do homework, they have to do the homework before they get their iPad, and Woody will literally go, "Ding, ding, 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 done, iPad." Doesn't care if
yeah.
he's got it right or wrong, really. He'll go, "Is that right?" And I'm like, try again." But he wants his iPad, that's fine, he's done. Whereas Grayson, to get to that point, we could have a half an hour meltdown because he doesn't wanna sit down and do it because it's boring,
Yeah.
but he will once he understands what the question is or what we're doing, it's usually maths, we do, like, maths 1, he just plows through it, and he gets them all right because he knows it because he's smart. It's
Mm.
getting to that point of sitting down.
It's the
So
focus.
going back to the school, yeah, what they're doing really well with is they've recognised that he can't sit on the floor times. They have floor now with like mat, and they don't have whiteboards or chalkboards when I was at school. They now have these white interactive screens that you can do all this fancy stuff, and they have like a mat in front of that. I think that changes when they get older, but he can't sit in on that floor because
Mhm.
there's too many people around him. There's too many things to go on to distract him. So when
Yeah.
they're doing that type of learning, he stays at his desk because actually that's where he does his best learning when he's sat
Mm.
on his own
Yeah.
in the distraction away. They've also got a thing called a grey screen, which I joked. I was like, "Oh, it's made for you because your name's Grayson." Oh. So when he's sitting at his desk, it is a screen that will go up around him so he can just concentrate. So he again blocking out all the distractors of, oh, there's a car that's gone past. Oh, there's a squirrel. Oh, there's a bird. It's literally so he can concentrate more. Headphones, so ear defenders. We don't use them often. Obviously, we're going out somewhere loud. We were fortunate to go Wembley during the summer to see Crystal Palace, which he absolutely loved. We took ear defenders then, just in case, which are taken for both of them. He probably kept his on a little bit more than Woody, but then once he acclimatised to it, it's fine. He does have them at school as well. Teacher doesn't think that necessarily works as well as the grey screens. I think it's coming back to every child and what every child
Yeah.
needs and the difference. And what they have tried as well is a wobble cushion. Now, I'd never heard of this before, but it's like you get them for the gym. I'm not a gym goer, like a little mat thing that you can sit on that you wobble, obviously, if you balance and your core.
Oh,
But what they
good.
use it for is that while you're sitting, your concentration can go. Oh, look, Joe's like that. Oh, yeah. Well done. So
Yeah.
your concentration goes on your wobbling rather than trying to think about what you're gonna do next.
Yes, yeah. It just distracts that part of your brain that's the hyperactive part, so it's busy doing something. I
Yeah.
noticed when we were at school the other day, I was talking to that parent, before Kerry gave me the, fidget toy, and I was literally
Yeah.
swaying from one side to the other. I'm like, "Why would I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making myself feel sick." But, like, it's just that distraction, isn't it? But, like you say, you're right, though. Everyone's different in how they are because if you've met one person with ADHD, you've met one person with ADHD, and but I do think you're right, though, with the overwhelm of multiple noises, like, layered on top of each other is the biggest, like, trigger for, like, meltdown you can possibly find because it's your brain can hear all of it
Yeah.
in it's almost like you're in 4D there because 'cause you've got all of the sounds playing in equally as loud as each other, and then someone starts talking over the top. So, like, in a classroom, when you've got all the children talking and then the teacher, it's like, I can't think straight.
Yeah, too much going on, way too much
Too much.
going on.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
it can just tip you into a bit of a meltdown, can't it? But do you know what? The school sound like they're doing a brilliant job there because
Yeah,
the
they're doing really well, actually.
just, like, things like little things that they can do, um but I think that journey, which is why obviously Little Noodles was created to help children that are at junior school. Because usually it kind of comes out like in infant school, but junior school it starts to manifest itself, and then by the time you've done your SATs and you're transitioning into like a different learning environment, because in infants you're learning more through play, so it
Yes.
tends to be less visible. But then when you start to get into the juniors and it's more sitting at the desk and then into secondary school, it's quite challenging. So I think parents are just they want to help their children, don't they, more than anything else. But I think the biggest way of doing that is just letting the child be able to talk about some of the things that are causing them to end up in a meltdown or end up with different behaviors. Because if
Yeah.
you've been sat at school, like you just talked about Grayson with his homework, if I've been sat in school for 6 hours focused, the last thing I want to do is come home and do homework. Like I don't know why I
Yeah.
really don't know what the point of homework is. It it's hard enough to do that in the day, let alone then when you get back and you've got to sit down again and focus again. That's why I think a lot of parents finding children are having meltdowns when they get out of the school environment because it's like a release. So they're trying the best to focus throughout the day. Then when they get home, it's absolute like everything's just coming out and parents are really struggling with it, like a
Yeah.
release, if you like. But then to say you've got to sit down and do this, they're like, "I throw us a bone."
Yeah, no,
But
absolutely. Even with like reading, so Woody would like sit down, he would love to do the reading. But actually, Grayson's the better reader. So he can read, but he just chooses not to because
yeah,
it's boring.
yeah,
Doesn't get
abs
enough from it unless there's loads of pictures and it's something he really loves. Because then on the
yeah.
flip side of it, we've got his love of ships and boats. Osborne books are really good. They do like the flap books, so you can like it's
Oh,
all like
yeah, like
pictures and you lift the flaps up with the facts. So again, he
yeah,
loves that, but he'll sit and read that on his own because that stimulates him because he's look. Oh, it's a bit of a surprise. What's underneath it? Oh,
yeah,
and again, he's interested in it. I think that's really key as long as you're interested in it. A couple of things
agree.
that I have started doing from the school
Mm.
was, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And, Joe, I don't know if you do this, but it's the 5 things you can see, the 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can I was getting this around the wrong way. Smell, one thing you can taste. So you just ground you. So when he is having a meltdown or Woody's winding him up, and I know that this is going to end up in, some kind of punch up, I could just take him, go, hang on, just go, what's the 5 things? Currently goes
Yeah,
on, oh, okay. And then completely forgotten what the meltdown was about to be about. But
yeah,
it's
it's a good
such a
really
good one.
distraction, isn't it? I've not heard of that one. Maybe Kerry next time, you need that, break it
Yeah.
out in that meeting.
So simple. Like, if we're walking to school and I know there's lots of sentences going on, not necessarily because there's about to be a meltdown, just because we can do it as, like, a bit
Yeah,
of a bonding thing. Like, what's the 4 things you can do? you can see three things this, and they're running and touching things, and it's
Yeah,
just,
that's really
especially when you
good.
can hear the birds or like
Yeah.
planes and things. Yeah, it's a good one.
It
I
Recommend.
helps
like
with
that he understands it as well, and he's so you're like, well, let's do the 5 things, and he's a bit, oh, okay,
Yeah,
but
he
I
gets it.
suppose he
Yeah,
gets that, and he
absolutely.
understands. Maybe he might not understand the reasoning behind it, but it helps him get to a better place.
Yes, yes,
that's gotta
definitely.
work with anxiety as well. If they're feeling anxious about something, that's a fantastic, like, distraction tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have
Yeah,
to get him through the Little Noodles program. He'd
yeah,
love that. Do you know what though? That's the whole reason for it. It's designed to be, fun for the child that's going through it, but it ends up in a kind of like almost like almost like a handbook that's written by your child talking about themselves and their who they are behind the mask that they will put on. Um, there was a BBC documentary about ADHD, and there was a lad on it called Henry.
yes, I saw that.
Amazing with the balls, and he was talking about the kind of the balls just hitting his head, and it's all with this kind
Tombola
of
Man.
Tombola Man, that's it, Tombola Man,
Yeah,
there's my joy of names there. But he was really like one of the things that was really, I think, shocking for his parents when they asked his parents how well they out of 10 they thought they knew Henry, and then they asked him out of 10 how well he thought they knew him, and I think they'd said like a 9 or 8 or a 9,
did.
and he was there, it's about a 5 or a 6. I think as a parent that would have been the most probably shocking part of that show that they would have got from that, because he's got a mask on and they almost are seeing the version of him that he wants them to see, because he doesn't want to feel like he lets them down, and he doesn't want to feel like, they're disappointed in him or anything like that. Weirdly though, his sister, it was a she kind of had knew and seen the almost him behind the mask.
Yeah, I found that really interesting.
Yeah.
What I liked about that as well was he was really clear saying, like, they wanna help, they're trying to fix me.
Yes, yeah.
He's like, "I don't need to be fixed, I just need to be
Yeah,
understood."
that's
And that
it.
was really powerful. And I
Yeah,
think at the end, he does that video, doesn't he? And explains what Tombola Man is, like, literally walking through his flat, getting, like, the ping pong balls chucked at him
yeah,
is, like, the analogy. And I think
mhm,
that's so great and so visual for people to connect with and understand, and it is just trying to understand them. You know, yes, they're not listening to you because they've got probably 12 million things going on in their head, but
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's like it's almost like one of those Ferris wheels, and it comes round, and then there's a new thought coming out every it's just constant, and then one just overrides the next one. It's not like you keep hold of that thought, and then you can use that in a minute, which is, why you kind of like sometimes like you're gonna burst because you've got to say something, but the next one comes over and it almost just the other one just goes, it's just down into the scrap heap, and you're like, it will never come back again. But
yeah,
that yeah, it's so complicated, but it's so simple, and I think if you can understand your children, then you can help them navigate life, because it's hard, isn't it, to go through school, as a neurodivergent. um, we've heard stories at the school about, like, girls that are getting chucked out of college and permanently excluded because I think, the example we heard was something was unfair. And so she'd really reacted to that and then got permanently excluded. I'm thinking if she reacted to it, I can guarantee that she's telling the truth, because fairness is such a huge thing for neurodivergent. But instead of trying to understand her, what's the easiest thing? Just permanently exclude her.
yeah.
You know, my
And I
my
think
daughter.
it's yeah, I think it's this whole thing about Sam, I think you hit the nail. They want to be understood because there's nothing wrong with somebody who's got ADHD. Their brain just works differently. It's not wrong. It's
exactly
not.
that.
Yeah, I'm not as neurotypical. I'm not. My brain works fine, and somebody else's doesn't. And I think it's that it's understanding, not trying to fix. And that was another of the things that came out of the school with the lady who shared that her son was like, well, there's no point, I'm just thick, because that's what he's been led to believe. Well, he's not. He just, his brain is wired in a different way. And actually, if he understands that and understands, how he thinks, feels, and comes across, then absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that there's more, what's the right word? Education for like the older generation. So I've got an example, and you might not want to include this. So on Saturday, we went to our local Royal Engineers Museum. So we've got big military kind of stuff where I live. Royal Engineers Museum. Again, kids love it 'cause it's all about army, there's like bomb disposal stuff, blah, blah, blah. And there was a Christmas fair on. Now I thought it was gonna be Christmas fair where I can buy some mince pies and some fudge. There was one fudge stall, some honey, and then that was about it. It was all what it was like in wartime Christmas. So again, it was
Oh,
very interesting, but it was more educational. So there was people that obviously have large collections and obviously very into this stuff and whatever they do. But they had like stalls. So there was like the rations at Christmas, and then there was like a sick bay and what that would look like if you were in the field in the army during a war kind of thing. And there was this guy, and I went with friends, and their friend is, I would also say, neurodivergent. He's going for some testing as well. And they walked up. Obviously, all kids go to like the sick bay or the like medical bay, don't they? Because it looks like bloody
yeah,
and gory, and they want to know
yeah.
more. So our friend's son was like asking questions, like, "How many people died?" And he was like, "In the war, like during this time, like what do you mean?" And then it's like, why did Hitler, why was Hitler evil or something like that? And he was like, oh, he just was a not very nice man, very unsteady. Why did he kill himself? We got into like the graphics because they're boys, right? And then he said he had ADHD. He had it, the early version. To me and my friend just went, come on, boys, let's go. Let's get
Right.
it done.
Okay. Wow.
And I
Wow.
was just like, I was shocked. Because he clearly has no education around it, which is
Yeah.
fine. I don't expect everyone to. But saying that in that setting to one, you don't know who you're talking to. That's something that they could then definitely keep because it's facts, it's what they're interested about
Yeah.
and hold on to. And it's just something they shouldn't really be listening or hearing about, like as a young age.
Yeah.
But it's getting to education for the older generations. And I know it's like all of these things now, isn't it? Like what Gen Z are and all that kind of stuff. But I think if their parents or grandparents, particularly grandparents, is just having a bit of understanding around it. I know the
Yeah.
conversations that mum and I have had around when she might have said, like, well, no, they're naughty kids. She had that when she was younger because she didn't understand it. She wouldn't dare say it now because she's more
Yeah.
educated. But I feel like that's something just for society really to understand it better.
It's real. They do, it is very hard with that generation. If I think of, the conversations that you hear go on with the boomers, but then they've been brought up differently, and it's almost a kind of wanting the proof that that exists. And I mean, yeah, I think the world is probably when they were around, you probably didn't notice it so much because there was a war on and there's things like, the war had just finished and they had a different environment where they grew up, didn't they? And it wasn't as the world now is a neurotypical world because it's more steady, it's technology focused, it's all very orderly, if you like. But obviously, when they were growing up, this it might not have been so obvious where people were neurodivergent because it's not a new thing. People have had it. We've just
Exactly.
got different needs. It's not. It's just that we understand more about it. And Gen Z have done a fantastic job, in my opinion. And then they do get a lot of bad press, don't they, for being a bit more, a bit
Yeah.
woke and talking about things like that. But they have brought this up to the fore, and they've given us almost like permission to normalize it. And they have done that. They've done a fantastic job with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Because I
agree.
think there's all the, more people are being diagnosed now, more children are being diagnosed now. And I look at that and I think, well, Joe was only diagnosed 2 years ago at the age of
Mm,
47. So Joe,
yeah.
that wasn't you didn't catch it, did you? You had that
No.
But we've had that as well, Sam. You know, can you catch it? Can you grow out of it? No. But I think you hear now a lot more about people who have been diagnosed as adults, and actually all of you who have been diagnosed as adults
Mm.
were not diagnosed at school. Had you been, would people be saying now a lot more people are being diagnosed now? No, they
No,
wouldn't. But it just
Exactly.
didn't
wasn't,
know
I
know
suppose, on the
about.
radar then. And
I
it
know, I
was
thought
attributed to naughty kids, wasn't it? I
yeah,
mean, I don't know if my brother is or is not, but he was definitely at school. He was the naughty boy. He was the one. You know, he used to go to ballet lessons and jump off a table pretending to be Batman, or go into the sewing shop and spin the buttons round because he was bored. But and that could have been a naughty boy, but equally, it could have
just
been
bored.
something else. Yeah,
Just bored. I think that's it, isn't it? It's yeah, it's really tough, and I think it's just if what I know now about myself compared to what before I was diagnosed, and obviously Grayson's going to go on that journey. He's just made me like change my career. It's made me do things differently. It's made me drop the mask. I'm openly talk about it. But now it took me a bit of time to kind of get my head around it. And that's mostly because of the environment and people around you and their views and the stigma and all that kind of stuff. But actually I'm completely comfortable with it, like 100% comfortable with it because I know that I have strengths and I have weaknesses like everyone does. But now I know like why and I understand that. If you're doing that for Grayson, honestly, it's fantastic. And what regardless of what anyone says or anyone's view, you know what's best for your children, don't you?
Absolutely. And I do think there needs to be more support for parents.
Mm,
The school, again, like the local trust, not quite sure where they are, but like what we attended the other day in school, again, that's really helpful. But what if you're a working mum or you're a working parent? You know, I've been invited to one in January, which I'll be starting my new job then. I'll be back working full time. I won't be able to
mm,
attend it. And it's like that's such a shame. So again, it's how do they reach parents that are working full time, running and that
yeah,
also might be neurodivergent themselves, of how to help support them, maybe understanding themselves, and then also helping their children. Is something that's missing. I think everyone's trying to do their part. I think, but there's either not clear or it needs something like the little noodles program where you can work through that and as you say have that book to really understand your child and with it you'll probably learn an awful lot about yourself and that
yeah.
help and help the family dynamic. So I am on the first cohort of the academy, which is lovely, the coaching academy and all this stuff. And I'm learning loads about myself. I've just done my interrupters. So I've done my homework for week 3.
You
And
won't
so
be in detention then, Sam. So great.
yeah, so just like learning about that in myself. And I think that's just doing that is going to be really powerful for the family dynamic. And one of the reasons why I've done it because I want to be the best for Grayson, but not forgetting Woody. He's also neurotypical, potentially. He might be more neurodivergent. He just might be masking it better. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But just trying to understand that. And I think that's just really important. Really important.
Yes. And then you can help others, can't you, as well? I mean, I know the Messy Minds program is designed so that if you've got a full-time job and you want to do some coaching and help other parents and other children and other adults, after that and after hours and you want to do that. I mean, just need more people like that because you've got all that experience of having children and having children that are different to each other and all that kind of everything that you bring from your background, you bring into your coaching, don't you? And as long as you can be like really authentic yourself, then people will connect with that.
Absolutely. And I think that's really important. And yeah, I just think it's a really great thing that you guys are doing. And I think more people should embrace it and really
Mm.
yeah, I think it's great. I'm
and we've
looking
loved
forward to
having you
helping
along.
people.
Yeah, you've been brilliant in being engaged, but I think a lot of that. I mean, we worked with you before in a previous world, um, but from that, obviously saw you, I mean, huge topic, but going back to the role that you used to do, managing lots of people, and how I could see you working with different types of people as well, and bring it, and that's some of the skill set that Joe's talking about as well, that you bring your lived experience into the academy.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, on that. Yeah, and again, with that, so help for context for people, manage a small team, and neurodivergent, a couple of people in the team, and a member of the team was in an admin-based role. I was in events, so events manager, so creative, it's not the day to day. Yes, there is some boring bits to it, but it's creative. You can really flex your creative senses, which is good. And this person that I knew needed a change. I could tell, always struggled. Don't know why, because she's brilliant at everything, really good at building them connections. Everyone knew she was. If you needed something, you go to her because, she's probably got the sewing kit, she's probably got the cotton buds, she's got all the stuff. Um, but was always getting in trouble one way or another. So an opportunity to come up in the team, she did get it. She gave us the role, she did get it. And I've helped her with her journey, just again helping her understand herself before she kind of knew that she needed to understand herself. And that was a year ago. We had that conversation, and now she is thriving. She really is. She's doing the work for herself. She's come on such a long way. If I go back to voice notes that were 18 months, 2 years ago, to voice notes now, she's more control and calm, and she really won't mind me saying that. Um, and yeah, so I think it's helping people understand themselves. And I know that's your tagline, and I think that's really important. So I was like, what is Missy Minds? And I'm like, helping people understand themselves.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
so simple.
it's so simple. They're like, oh, really? How? And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not rocket science, but I think that again, it comes back to the importance of it and people wanting to do the work. I think that's also really important.
Yeah.
Had I had this conversation with this person when it was not a good time or she wasn't in my team, that wouldn't have worked. You have
No.
to build that trust up, and I do think that's really important, and then she was ready to do the work.
Yeah, that's vital though, isn't it? Because if the person is not ready to go on that journey or they're not brought into it, then it's not gonna have any impact at all because it has to come from the person that you're coaching. It cannot come from the coach.
Yeah, absolutely, and Joe, you said it yourself, like, after diagnosis, for processing it for yourself before you're ready to talk about it,
So, yeah,
and I think it really is that they've got to understand not understand it, but come to terms with either a diagnosis or a something's not right here. It's time for me to think about it. And
yeah.
but then that's really difficult. But that because that comes down to being a little bit selfish and thinking about yourself. And this
Mhm.
is what this person struggled with. She was so worried about again a bit with the RSD, like trying to please so many different people all the time, rather than going, you need to work on yourself. Now's
Yeah,
the time.
yeah, that's it. It's
And
okay.
it's that, yeah, it's okay to do that, but to get to that point when you're trying to please and trying to do so many things and trying to dodge the trouble and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but you've got to be ready.
Yeah, powerful stuff for sure.
100%. Um, there was one other thing I was going to touch on with you, Sam. Sorry, I got completely. I
That's all
keep
right.
looking at your Christmas tree. Um,
You're distracted there, Kerry, for a minute.
I'm obsessed. Well, Sam's got lights on hers, and I have not got lights on mine. I feel I'm missing out, and there will be
Mine don't have
lights.
decorations.
Yeah,
By tomorrow, there'll be lights on that tree behind, I guarantee
there
you.
will be lights everywhere. I will potentially have lights on myself. Um, I did, Christmas is my favourite thing, and anything I can put a light on, I will be putting a light on. And I probably do need your Christmas tree, Sam. I was going to talk about all the events you've been helping us with, because obviously I know we've touched on it, but we went and we did the school event. Um, And I think, well, I thank everything that you were involved, because you absolutely knew what you were doing in terms of setting up. I've never put up a pop-up banner
Yeah,
before.
that was clear. If I didn't
That
turn up, I don't know what was going to happen.
They stayed in the box, Sam. They just stayed in the box.
Just holding them.
They probably
I
stayed
did.
in my garage.
I'd had fingers caught in something. It wouldn't have ended well. Um,
And yeah, events.
yeah, but it was. I think that Friday, because that was different to anything I think we've done before for myself and Joe. But I think being in that kind of environment where it is so different from corporate world,
Absolutely.
and the expectation there. But I mean, there was other support services. There was also parents, and I think from all of our perspectives, I was also really interested in what all the other support services were doing. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, how do we all fit in with each other? From yourself, I suppose you've got the perspective of, oh, okay, well, also, what does it look like for children at different areas? Because this was one council area. But yeah, you've done loads with the events. How have you found that?
Yeah, interesting. And as I say, there is lots out there. It's trying to work out what's what, right? And I think if you go back to our corporate world, there was like the governing body. So the governing body events were like the ones that you'd want to go to, or the awards you'd want to go to. And that was really clear because obviously everyone knows about them. What I'm finding with the neurodivergent world, whether that's support services, whether that's coaching skills, whatever that is, there's just a lot, but it's never clear what they are and where they fit in. There's some big conferences what you guys are going to be at next year, so they're like the main key staples for the year, which I think are going to be really good. And again, it's going to be all these different types of services to be able to help people understand, or it comes from education, or if it's a corporate world. I think the corporate world definitely needs more help. We know that
Mm.
1 in 5, right? 1 in 5. You look at the average team that are over 5 people, that means there's probably multiple within that little team. So, but there's no events I can see clearly in all my research that can help with that. So we're gonna work that out. It might not be for next year, but maybe 2027. Maybe it'll be our Messy Minds conference. But I find it really interesting, and just coming back to the school, I think it was interesting in the different services that we had, and then the parents that are there, how they marketed. I think you guys obviously stood out, how with the Messy Minds colour, lovely, bright and bold, so everyone's drawn to you. We had in detention in the background, which was lovely, so people were able to see, but oh, that's a guest speaker, oh, that's great, what's that for? Da, da. And just sharing all the stuff, good stuff that you're doing. But with the other events, again, there's just a lot. So we're gonna get you into some really good ones. Maybe it's a Messy Minds conference in 2027. I can see lots of orange, can see
Yeah.
noodles, meet the characters, all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
But
yeah. Book
it's really
launch next year.
interesting. And I think it's how do you make it? You don't want to scale up too quick in terms of everyone needs to have Messy Minds in their life, in my opinion, in some way, shape, or form. It's making people aware of it, and I think you guys are already doing such a good job. It's just spreading that out and spreading the word of how you guys can help. So I think it's great.
Yeah, it's a challenge, isn't it? And I think it's taken us a while because we were in corporate for so long
Yeah.
to kind of shed the corporate skin, if you like, because we had with the Messy Minds branding, our brief to the marketing agency was right. We want it to be professional but not corporate, because otherwise people won't open up and will relate to it. Because it has to be for education as well as corporates and businesses and individuals and children. It's such like it's everyone, isn't it? This affects everyone.
Yeah.
Um, so we're definitely, it's been a baptism of fire for us, but it's been fantastic you helping us on the events, and I know we've got an exciting schedule of events to go to next year and
Yeah.
attend and speaking at as well, which is going to be great. So
Yeah,
we get a better brush our banner erecting skills up there, Kerry.
I'll do a video. I'll do a video of doing it, and
I
then
think I might need that, Sam.
Yeah, I just need to be a bit taller though, because I just think I'm just not tall enough generally.
I think I've got the banners. Sam might have to do a video tutorial whilst I've actually got the banner. No,
Yeah,
not
there we
like
go.
that.
Do that.
Oh, lovely. Well, thanks, Sam. It's been fantastic you joining us
It's
today.
really good, really good. And yeah,
Well,
we need to come back on and do another one. We're a bit further on. We've maybe done little noodles or something. Let's do
definitely.
that.
We should bring Grayson on. He could talk to us about school.
Or we can talk to you
Um,
about boats.
he could talk to us about boats, and I'll be right out of my depth immediately, but that's fine because he can tell us all about
It's just so fun. Like, it has to know like how they work, the nuts and bolts of them. Like, yeah, a lot about boats.
That's what Johnny says. Why do you ask so many questions? Like, well, I need to know. I need to know information. They'll never go anywhere, and I've forgotten it immediately. But it's fine. I just need to know. Need to know what we're doing.
Questions.
All the questions.
All the questions.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Sam, for joining us in detention. And your first time in detention. And next time we'll get Tom on, and we'll ask him how many times he's been in detention.
Yep, he's got some stories. He's got some stories. Definitely.
I think we can get some of those stories out of him next time you're on. We'll let him come in for a 5-minute appearance.
Tommy's husband, by the way, is not another child.
Tom is
I'm totally neglected in that conversation.
his third child, your third child there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. You've been watching You're in Detention. And we'll see you again next week.